Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. January 19th, 2026, Martin Luther King Day here in the United States, a public holiday at the federal level, but not the state level for many states. Holiday at the federal level, but not the okay, just double checking the sound there. All right, so welcome back to the program. Special broadcast time, short broadcast for the news as a consequence of my drive to Rochester, New York, which is about 5 hours if all goes well. I need to get on the road before it gets too late so I can get up there for my meet and greet scheduled for later this afternoon with South African refugees in Rochester, 500 kilometers away. So welcome to everybody who's here. Thanks for those who are tuning in. Do appreciate you being here. Be sure to hit the like button if you don't mind. I need to be on the road, and I'm here trying to give the news to you folks. First off, out of the bat, a horrific train derailment in Spain. At least 39 people reported dead at this hour. At least 39 people already reported dead at this horrific train crash in Spain. This is breaking news taking place in Europe. Northbound train derailed and collided with an oncoming train in Cordoba province. At least 39 people have been killed and dozens more taken to hospital after a high-speed train carrying 300 passengers derailed and collided with an oncoming train in southern Spain last night. As people scrambled to track down loved ones who were still missing, officials warned the death toll could continue to rise. The collision near Ademuz in Cordoba province involved two trains heading in opposite directions. One was northbound, traveling in the southern city of Malaga to Madrid's train station, carrying 289 passengers, 4 crew members, and a driver, according to a private train company, Iro, which owns the train. The second train was southbound and was believed to be carrying nearly 200 passengers from Madrid to the small city of Huelva. It was part of Spain's public train company, Renfe. You can see where the two trains collided here. It occurred just before 8 p.m. Sunday night. The rear part of the Madrid-bound train came off the rails. Parts of the train were believed to have collided with the southbound train. An absolutely horrific situation last night unfolded as these passengers' lives were in jeopardy. Many lives lost. As I said, at least 39 people known dead last night. With 4,000 kilometers of track, Spain's high-speed railway is the largest in Europe and the second biggest in the world after China. This will bring high-speed rail under scrutiny. Gold and silver prices spiking today in markets across the globe in response to President Trump's threat of tariffs against European countries who don't support his effort to purchase. Thank you, Trix. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Thank you for that. To support his purchase of Greenland. Gold and silver prices hit record highs, but share prices fell today as investors reacted to the threat by the Trump presidency to impose fresh tariffs on 8 European countries opposed to his proposed takeover of Greenland. The price of gold hit $4,689 an ounce. Silver rose to $94. Can you believe silver at $100 and gold at $5,000? It's within sight. It's hardly believable at this stage. Hardly believable at this stage. Meanwhile, public broadcasting system reports apparently that, this isn't, apparently this was on PBS, but this isn't PBS. A letter from the President of the United States to Jonas Gahr Store, the Prime Minister of Norway, links the Nobel Prize to Greenland, reiterates threats, and is forwarded to by the National Security Staff to multiple European ambassadors in Washington. This is a letter. Dear Ambassador, President Trump has asked that the following message shared with Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store be forwarded to your government. Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me a Nobel Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia and China, and why do they have a right to ownership anyway? There are no written documents, only about that boat landed there hundreds of years ago, but we had boats landing here also. I've done more for NATO than any other person since its founding, and now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President Trump. Interesting. And I'm not going to say the letter doesn't exist, but the letter came from the Public Broadcasting Corporation as first to release it. And of course, this is an organization that had all of its funding cut in the big, beautiful bill. We no longer fund leftist propaganda in the media. Now, that doesn't mean the letter's not real. I'm just saying that's where the story broke. And every other outlet is breathlessly reporting this story as if it's true. None of them have the letter in their possession. None of them have shown the letter. If every embassy in Washington was given a copy of the letter, how is it hours later we still don't have a copy of this letter? It's an interesting question. The Trump administration has not responded. Trump links Greenland threat to Nobel Peace Prize snub, EU trade retaliation. U.S. President Donald Trump linked his drive to take control of Greenland to his failure to win the Nobel Peace Prize, saying no longer thought purely of peace. Intensified his efforts to wrest the colony from Denmark. In a written message, Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre, that was seen by Reuters. Why aren't you giving us a copy of it, Reuters? It's the internet. You could easily post it, Reuters. If you've seen this letter, where's it at? Where is this letter? I would like to see the letter. Trump administration, President linked Greenland push to Nobel Prize snub. We keep hearing this, but none of them are producing the letter. New York Times, we already seen Reuters have not produced this letter. CNN does not produce the letter. When you click on the link that says Extraordinary Note to Norway's Prime Minister, it simply links you to another story making a claim. Updated 3 minutes ago. No letter here. First reported by PBS. Let's go to this. Nick Schriffen, PBS. That just takes you to the post. Where's the letter? Where is this purported letter at? BBC also runs this story. And once again, BBC offers no link to any letter, no copy, no image of any letter. These are his tariffs, explains his tariffs, doesn't say anything about the letter. Not a single link to the letter. Interesting that this letter is supposedly out there. CBS News says Trump escalates the letter. Nor do they offer a link to the letter. Here's the story. Norwegians shared a statement. So the government of Norway is sharing the statement. Okay, well, at least we've got that much from CBS. They're sharing a statement. I can confirm that this is a text message I received yesterday afternoon from President Trump. It came in response to a short text message from me to President Trump earlier today on behalf of myself and the President of Finland. In our message, Trump, we conveyed our opposition to his announced tariff increase against Norway, Finland, and select countries. We point to the need to de-escalate and proposed a telephone conversation between Trump, Stubb, and myself on the same day. The response from Trump came shortly after the message was sent. It was his decision to share his message with other NATO leaders. Norway's position in Greenland is clear. Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. The Kingdom of Denmark. Norway fully supports the Kingdom of Denmark in this matter. We also support that NATO, in a responsible way, is taking steps to strengthen security and stability in the Arctic, except they're not. As regards the Nobel Prize, I've clearly explained, including to President Trump, what is well known. The prize is awarded by the Independent Nobel Committee and not the government of Norway. And he's correct. So the Office of Prime Minister has done that. So that adds credibility to the story, at least. Finally, we have something that's credible here. We have a statement from the Prime Minister of Norway saying it was a text message, not a letter. You see, all the other media reported that Trump sent a letter, but apparently that's not true. The Prime Minister of Norway says it wasn't a letter, it was a text message. So already this thing is in question here. Already in question. So, interesting. I can confirm that this is a text message I received yesterday afternoon from President Trump. A text message, not a letter. The media are breathless of reporting this as an official communication letter. It's a text message. Trump links threat to seize Greenland to Nobel Prize snub, according to The Guardian. So they also list a link to Norway. There you go. But they give it in Norwegian, so it was useless. I did get it in English there. See, this is a Norwegian newspaper. They don't offer it. The only outlet that has offered the statement has been CBS News. I have to give them credit for that. CBS News actually gave the link to the statement. But the leftist Guardian links us to Norwegian, which none of us speak. None of us speak Norwegian. So isn't that interesting? So apparently it was not a letter. It was a text message, despite the New York Times, the British Broadcasting Corporation, Reuters, PBS, all falsely claiming it was a letter. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, that's a bit disappointing to say the very least, ladies and gentlemen. A bit disappointing to say the very, very least. Anyway, that's the situation. Jared, there is reporting of Greenland back in the 1950s and 60s sterilizing Inuit. Yes, that's true. But we've heard similar stories about Americans doing the same thing to Indians in the American Southwest a century ago. So, yeah, no, there were definitely reports of that in the past. Also, they took Inuit children to Greenland to turn them into, or to Denmark to turn them into good little Danes. Same sort of thing that the leftists in America did, taking children from Indian reservations and sending them to the Carlisle School, industrial school here in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, as well as other schools around the country, to teach them to be good little Christians and white people. Yeah, that's what leftists do. Unbelievable. Is this their new Green Gate, a subject they want to ride and give more opinions and facts? Well, apparently the text is real. I will take the word of the Norwegian Prime Minister. This would be the biggest hoax in the history of Norway. Well, since the Nazis were there, if it were untrue. But that's the first news out. And these articles have been published for some time. They're not in the last 5 minutes. I mean, they've had plenty of time to update that. The New York Times one was updated 15 minutes ago. The Reuters was updated an hour ago. CNN's was updated 3 minutes ago. And the BBC 27 minutes ago. None of them had this information. The CBS article that actually gave the link to Norwegian was from an hour ago. All of these other sites could have updated this if they weren't lazy. Only CBS News has provided the link in English, which also has a Norwegian version at the top, from the Prime Minister of Norway. None of the rest of them have done that. So the rest of them have proven they're just chasing each other's tails. CBS News did its job for once. I'll be careful on the road. Thank you very much. I'm reading the news like Paul Walker driving his car. Well, I have to get going, and I'm a bit pain sitting here. After shoveling snow, my hip is sore now, and it's been painful for a day, and I haven't said anything, but hopefully I'll be fine in the car. I shouldn't shovel the snow. It wasn't much, but that little bit hurt. Right, so moving on to some South African news. The European Union, which does nothing for South Africa, has now pledged 95 million rand towards improving school safety in South Africa. 95 million rand. Do you know how much money that is, folks? It's about $1.3 million. $1.3 million. I'm not impressed, European Union. Not impressed at all. Lex Libertas has released a new report on the oppression and persecution of minorities in South Africa. And notice this is minority persecution. It doesn't say white, Afrikaner, it says minority. Unmasking the bully within. In a recent address to the G20 summit, President Ramaphosa asserted that no nation should bully another due to its economic and military power, emphasizing equality among nations and decrying international pressures in South Africa, all of which are made up. This statement, reiterated in early 2026 amid U.S. boycotts and global scrutiny, positions South Africa as the victim of external bullies while aligning with authoritarian regimes abroad. Yet this rhetoric starkly contrasts with domestic realities where the African National Congress government of Ramaphosa is employing similar coercive tactics against ethnic minorities within its own borders. So, a memoir from the Codesa era in the 1990s, shared with ANC strategy towards minority groups with Dr. Orane Ambrosini in his memoirs he recorded. In his brutal honesty, Ramaphosa told me of the ANC's 25-year strategy to deal with the whites. It would be like boiling a frog alive, which is done by raising temperature very slowly. Being cold-blooded, the frog doesn't notice the slow temperature increase. But if the temperature is raised suddenly, the frog will jump out of the water. He meant that the black majority would pass laws transferring wealth, land, and economic power from white to black slowly and incrementally until the whites lost all they had gained, but without taking too much from them at any given time to cause them to rebel or fight. While Western nations only recently intensified scrutiny of these issues, the South African government persists in denying farm murders and land invasions, even as it defends the chanting of kill the Boer and expands discriminatory race laws. This hypocrisy underscores the urgency of a thorough examination. If Ramaphosa decries international bullying, how can his administration justify domestic tactics that bully minorities? This report is necessary to expose the contradictions, arguing that the ANC engaged in systemic persecution of ethnic minorities, undermining South Africa's democratic credentials and global standing by highlighting evidence across 10 categories. Wow. So Ernst Roots is Lex Libertas. People said, what's Lex Libertas all about? What's it going to do? Well, it's doing what people said it was going to do. What Ernst Roots, when I interviewed him about it, said exactly what he said it's going to do. It's doing exactly what he said it was going to do. So there you go. That's absolutely brilliant. So well said by Ernst Roots. I'll have more time to unpack that later, but not now. Action SA is defending Zolani Khumalo amid assault and firearms charges. The National Chair, Michael Beaumont, said, why would we suspend a person who fights criminals on the word of a criminal? Liesel Emmelman says, thank you for all you do. Let's have a safe trip. Thank you for the clouds gathering. Action SA has come out strongly in defense of his Ekerhili Mero candidate and counselor after he handed himself over to police and was charged with assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm and pointing a firearm. Khumalo's charges arise from an incident involving a suspected drug dealer who had previously been arrested for possession of unlicensed ammunition but released without facing charges. Michael Beaumont criticized the police for persecuting Khumalo instead of going after the criminals. We believe there are charges that have been laid, but they were laid by a suspected drug dealer who was arrested last year, found with unlicensed illegal ammunition, inexplicably released by police. It's ironic the police will allow drug dealers to go free, but act on the charge of those drug dealers lay against activists who are fighting for our communities. Well, that's a fair point by Action SA. That's a fair point. The 8 Milnerton kids accused of bullying a child are in court. 8 Milnerton High School learners charged with assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm are set to appear in the Cape Town Magistrates Court tomorrow morning. This comes after a disturbing incident happened in October in which a 16-year-old was brutally assaulted by his peers. All 8 were released on bail and warning as they had fixed addresses, no previous convictions, and no pending cases or warrants of arrest. But they now appear in court. So I don't know what's going on in Milnerton. I've been to Milnerton many, many times. It's pretty odd what's happening there. Strange, strange stuff indeed. Anyway, I will probably do a couple live streams from the road, give you updates on my progress as I head up, as long as I have a good... well, why are you going at 1.5% speed? Go down to the normal speed. No one told you to put this on speed. What is a discovered group? What the heck is a discovered group? Alrighty, folks, that's going to do it for today. No, it won't be open, Philip, but I've got tomorrow morning to go there. My intent is not to go there today. It should be open today. It's a federal holiday, but they're not a federal organization. But my intent is to go there tomorrow. I won't have time to swing by today. By the time I get up there, it'll be almost time for my meet and greet. So, Don Lemon going to take antagonists to a church and disrupting attacking people. No, I didn't see that. I hope that he regrets his decision. I hope they regret it. All right. Anything else here? Stay safe on the road. Thank you all so much for that. Be sure to hit the like button, folks. That's the news for today. Case against DJ Warris in jeopardy. Video evidence gone missing. That's not at all a surprise. What a tragedy if the murder of DJ Warris goes unpunished. Yep. Thanks for keeping me positive. All right. You're welcome, one, Johan von Tunder and Lynn Harris. You guys take care. You're welcome, Trixie. I'll be on the road here shortly. I got to go get some petrol on the way. It's on the way, so not a problem. You guys take care, and thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button, and I'll catch you later as the day goes on. All right? Take care. Thanks a lot.